Bora Boye, between reality TV and social media, we have been conditioned to value our personal opinions as being as important and as valid as scholarship, experience, and fact. We think that our opinion is truth. Okay, we think that anecdotal data is just as valid as hours of scholarly research, thousands of years of tradition. Okay, and I see it really, really heavily within certain sectors of the Orisha community, where people really want to refute things like the sacred text with their opinions, or how they feel about one thing or another. But it really is a lot more pointed and important for us to sort of tease out and get clear about when it comes to our assessment of one another. Because you have people who have zero experience with a certain discipline, a certain practice, a certain way of life, but they feel totally justified and comfortable with speaking as an authority about other people's experience with that thing, right? So, there's people who've never had a job, but they want to talk about, how you do your job. There's people who've never owned a home, but they've got all this, kickback about what it means to be a homeowner. There's people who've never gone to school, right? But they really think that they're in a position to talk about how you are as a student. People who've never been the head of a PTA or the neighborhood association, but they know everything about how the president is supposed to run the country, right? These things create within our community an inertia, because as long as you are doing nothing in effect, but you feel like your opinion about what things are happening, you're not going to engage. You're not even going to play your part as a supporter. In reality, as opposed to being a critic, you ought to be a supporter. Okay, and this is in part based on what Ifa tells us about people, that there are three categories of people. You got the doers, you got the supporters, and you got the bystanders. The trouble is that you got a lot of bystanders who have opinions about doing, and they count that as actual activity, And so I want you to really just take a second, and I want you to think about the number of people who actually live and work and function 100% in service of the community. Not people who are policemen or firemen or social workers or psychologists or doctors. Not that those are, professions we should disparage, but those people work for the system. They work for the government. They have a supervisor, and there are specific protocols that are dictated by the state that define how they can function in the community and what they must do in the community and what the agenda of, their presence is in the community. How many people work in an institution or an organization, or even as an individual in a small team, entirely for the community, independently? How many people do you know? You probably cannot identify even 5 people who actually work for the community, right? So in reality, you probably don't have any real direct experience with what it means to work for the community. And you certainly are not surrounded by, hundreds and thousands of people. Your friends on social media are likewise, they're just like you. They don't really know what it means to serve the community, They don't get up in the morning and spend their day and then go to bed at night executing plans and strategies for the community. Right? So really, the majority of the people in the community need to be focusing on those very few who are actually in service to the community and figure out ways that you can support. And then in your support, you will discover different areas in which you can assume greater levels of leadership, and you can take a greater amount of control and authority over what really is happening. Then you won't be just somebody with an opinion. You'll be somebody who's engaged. You've got your hands in the pot. You are actually making it happen on a day-to-day basis. All right. So I invite every single one of us to examine what it is that we truly want to see, the kinds of impact that we would like to really have, the kinds of visions that we have of improvement for ourselves and for our community, and make the time to find the people who are actually doing that work and just pledge your support. Pledge your support because you see that these people are doing it. Pledge your support because some folks have already demonstrated a commitment. They don't need to be paid millions of dollars. They don't need to get accolades and a whole bunch of fanfare. They're already doing it. They're doing it in spite of your criticism, in spite of your neglect, in spite of your disregard for them and their contributions. So they're going to do it. They're proven. Now, let's start to figure out ways that you can help them do it better, more efficiently, more effectively, more profitably. Aboro aboye. Aboshishe.